The Open Broadcast Feature category recognizes those entries that are predominantly audio and/or video from any Canadian media outlet, broadcast over the air or online to an audience of any size. Entries have a runtime of over 5 minutes and are feature formats. There are 5 finalists in this category. From APTN Investigates, Cullen Crozier's entry titled Forgotten Survivors. There are 800 survivors of residential schools in Newfoundland and Labrador, but not a single one was the intended recipient of the apology issued to other survivors across Canada by the government of the day 8 years ago. This is because Canada did not consider the 5 residential schools in its newest province the same as others because when they opened, Newfoundland had not yet joined Confederation and they were not established under Canada's Indian Act. Crozier met and spoke with 4 of these survivors and shared their fight to be recognized and treated in the same way as other Indigenous survivors of residential schools.
I found it a slap in the face that the government of Canada is allowing this to go on again.
James Tutalk also attended the Yale School. And like Toby Obed, he still bears the scars from years of abuse and mistreatment.
We saw and know a lot of things that happened there, but we put it in our shells. Because who would believe children? Who would believe that Mr. So-and-so was doing this to us, or we were called heathens and had to get the heathen ways out of us?
Tutalk was just 9 years old when he first arrived in Northwest River. It wasn't long after that he says he was sexually molested by a male staff member.
Who do you go to after that? Who do you tell?
From CBC Vancouver, Fault Lines by Cheryl Tobin, Johanna Wagstaff, Jessica Lindsay, and Lee Roseveare. What would BC look like, feel like, after a large earthquake? It hasn't happened yet.
We'll start with the big one. This is the one we all know will happen, the one you've heard about, the megathrust earthquake, also known here as the Cascadia earthquake. That's the one that caught everyone's attention when that article came out in the New Yorker. Writer Catherine Schultz won the Pulitzer Prize for her piece entitled The Really Big One. It was pretty terrifying.
If you're anywhere within the tsunami inundation zone, it's where the absolutely grave danger exists. You've got to have a way to get out of there or you are very unlikely to survive it. We're absolutely going to lose a lot of the infrastructure. You're not going to be able to drive a car. Emergency vehicles are not going to be able to get to you. We're talking about massive failure of bridges, of highways, of airports, you name it, hospitals, police stations, fire stations, and the region in many respects is going to be unrecognizable.
As one judge noted, telling the story in a chronological future time drives the listener forward. The writing and narration pull few punches about the horrendous impact earthquakes would have and expose both lay and official insouciance to what is literally under our feet. Freelancer Callie Anderson's radio documentary, broadcast by CBC Radio's The Doc Project, and titled The Twiblings Project.
Nancy passed that crucial 12-week milestone and started telling her friends and family the good news. At 15 weeks pregnant, she was feeling great. Until she wasn't.
One morning I was lying in bed and I could feel like this liquid. I got up to go to the bathroom and more liquid came. I called my midwives and she just said, "It sounds like maybe your water broke and you need to go to a hospital." So we went to the small town hospital and they said there was still 2 growing babies, 2 heartbeats. I was like, okay, they're okay. And then the doctor came and said that baby A had no water around it anymore. So go home and wait to miscarry, which was awful to hear.
The judges said Anderson took something often discussed in a detached and professionalized manner and injected it with humanity by allowing listeners to become a part of one couple's journey through infertility. The entry titled Salute, submitted by the team at Huffington Post, AOL Canada. This entry goes beyond the experiences of post-traumatic stress disorder, giving the viewer and audience a more intimate look at 4 soldiers.
I certainly believe in karma, and I certainly believe everything happens for a reason.
These are documentary-style clips without narration, which the judges noted were edited in such a way to show the trust and respect earned by the journalists behind the camera, and were edited to let you be drawn into each person's story. From Viceland and Vice, the entry from Allison Tierney, Naveen Harilal, and Shawnee Cohen, titled Dope Sick, Fentanyl's Deadly Grip. The team turned to those with first-hand experience dealing with the addictive consequences of fentanyl and lets them set the narrative.
It's been 12 friends. 12 friends in 2 years. That's a friend every 2 months. But this one's the hardest. Like, I think about him all the time. Like, I couldn't wait to see him again. And I'll never get to see him. Like, I haven't seen him in like 1.5 years, 2 years. All because of this. I'm stuck in Calgary. I'm trapped here. I can't leave. I can't even go to his funeral, man. Like, I can't.
Those stories are supplemented by medical and other professionals who add necessary context and understanding to a set of bleak tales.